Hi everyone, I hope you're enjoying your training. For this part of the session, we're going to run through how you complete your 2019 appraisal in the new form within the Cascade system. I'm here with my colleague Louise, my name's Jez, and we're just going to take you through sort of a dummy run of how the form works and flows. So in order to access it, just log in to your Cascade account. You'll be presented with your dashboard, and then all you need to do is navigate to the My Record button on the left hand side. And then from the drop down list, select New Appraisal Form. As you can see, Louise has got a 2018 appraisal in there. We've just added that in there so you can see how the screen displays everything. As you go through the years, all your appraisals will be listed there and you can go in and access them as and when you wish. To create your 2019 appraisal, just click on Add New Record in the bottom left hand side of the screen.
This is the first screen which you will view. As you're going along and completing the different screens, do remember it is a secure system. So after 20 minutes, the system will time out. So you will need to save it as you go along. To save it, if you click the next button at the bottom to navigate to the last screen, on the last screen you'll find a save button. So do remember to click that as you're doing it. Otherwise you may lose some of the work that you've put in already. On this screen, the first box you've got is performance year. So do select the year. The first year will be 2019. As you go along, you've got line manager. Do put the name of the line manager who is doing your review. So if you're matrix managed, it might not be your direct line manager. The next box you have is mid-year review date. You do not need to put that date in at the moment. When you arrange your mid-review date and you come back to do it, you'll put the date in there. And same again for the end of year review date. Again, you don't have to put that date in. You'll do that when you come to your end of year review.
Okay, so moving on, to do so, just click the next button underneath that first screen. The next part of the appraisal is made up of two elements. You've got the role and the objectives. Now, between those two, when you weight each of your role requirements and you weight each objective, they must not exceed 60%, and I'll show you what that looks like just now. So under the role, these are what is required of the role in a day-to-day capacity. So it's important to remember at this stage as well, everyone should be completing their own appraisal. So I'm acting as Louise now, so Louise would, if you've got them saved in a different document, open up the requirements that you've got. She'd copy and paste them. You can copy and paste them, or you can type directly into the cells in Cascade. So I've copy and pasted them in. So in this case, Louise has got 5 requirements for the role. Now each of these requirements needs to be given a weighting. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. So this first one, 10%. 10%. 10%, and you guessed it, 10%. So overall, for the requirements of the role, the overall weight in percentage will be 50%. 5 objectives made up of 50%. Just underneath that, you've got your ratings, so your employee rating, line manager rating, and agreed rating. You won't need to do this at this stage. This is something that will come into play during the mid-year review, so you don't need to complete them at the moment. It's just the role requirements and the weighting at this stage.
Okay, so moving on to the next screen. Here we have where you yourself, the employee, will fill in your own individual objectives. You can see here we've got 6 boxes. I'm going to now paste in my objective. And I'm going to weight my objective here 10%, as in my requirement of the role I already had 50%. So now will make up my total of 60%. Depending on the type of role you have, you might have more of a higher weighting in the objectives than the requirement of the role. For example, if your role is kind of more project-based, you would have higher weighting in the objectives. If it's more delivery-based, you're likely to have a higher weighting in the requirement of the role. Our team will also, who's delivering the training, will cover a little bit more about the difference between the objectives and the requirements of the role. Moving on here, we also have the screens that you have to give yourself a rating. As Jez already mentioned, we don't need to do anything with this section at the moment. We'll come back to that again at the mid-review. You also, if you want to add more information about your objectives, we have a supporting document screen. This is on the last page, so you can add as many supporting documents as you want onto that screen.
So once you've completed all of your objectives, just scroll down to the bottom and hit next. The next part of your appraisal is the behavioural objectives. Now these link into our new behaviour framework, which you can see here, and again these link into our new values. So you've got pioneering, people first, uniting, and driven. And if I scroll down, you can see that these have been broken down into levels just here. So you've got as a team member, a subject expert, as a manager, senior manager, and also as a leader. What you need to do for this part of your appraisal is just have a read through each of the statements within your level, and take a few of them and just personalize them. So Louise has taken some and personalised them for her particular role. So you can see here under behaviours, adopt new ways of working using tools I'm given, such as Cascade, which increases impact and collaboration with the ongoing rollout and development of the system. And just below that as well, keep up to date with trends in the outside world by ensuring knowledge of current legislation is up to date. So then all Louise does is just take them, copies and paste them into the system. Or again, you can type them in if you want to. You'll notice as well on this screen, there isn't an option to weight each of the behaviours, and that's because they're equally weighted at 10%. So with your objectives, with the role requirements, and with your behavioural objectives, that'll equal 100% in total. So you need to do that for each of the behavioural objectives going down: pioneering, people first, uniting, and driven. Now once you've done that, that is the last thing you need to do at this stage. But finally, just make sure you go through. You won't need to complete any of these screens at this stage. Just go next all the way to the end, and just make sure you hit the save button. And that is it for this stage of the appraisal.
So now we're going to go through what you need to do for your mid-year review. We're back again at the beginning. You can see you've got the list here of your last appraisal, which you've done when you set your objectives. So you can go in and click view. And to edit it, you will need to click update record. And then you'll need to pop in there the mid-year review date. It's important you remember to put this date in, as when this date goes in, it will send out a workflow to your line manager. And then we click next. Here you can see the screen which you would filled in at the beginning of the year with the requirements of your role. So for one of the requirements of my role, I have put, I will manage all generic HR email accounts and ensure that they are responded to in a timely and effective manner. So now in my mid-year review, I'm going to write some evidence of how I've met these requirements. I'm going to copy and paste those in there now. Again, you can just type it in if you prefer. So here I have reviewed my requirement of the role. So I've put, since the start of the year, I've been managing all the HR email accounts on a daily basis. The majority of queries have been responded to within our 24-hour agreed time frame. Those that have not been, I've sent holding emails or delegated to the appropriate person. So now I'm going to give myself a rating for that. I'm going to give myself, let's have a look, performing. And then you've got another box which your line manager will do, and they will rate it as well. The rating which you put in here at your mid-year review, this is an indicator of your current progress and also a pathway to your future progress and your future development. The agreed rating there, you won't need to fill that in at your mid-year review. That will be something you'll do at your end of year review.
Okay, so that was the requirements for the role. Moving on to the objectives. So as you can see, Louise has put her objectives in here at the start of the year. And again, the same as before, you can either type into the evidence box or you can copy and paste it in. We've got some of the evidence for here. And again, just copy and paste it in, how you can evidence that you're currently meeting that objective. Same as before. It's an indicator of where you currently are, and and again, your line manager will be able to do the same. The rating, the objective one agreed rating will be agreed at the end of year review. If you've got more objectives, obviously you need to fill them out as appropriate moving down. And again, moving on, so you've got the behavioural objectives here, again, all weighted at 10%. Copy and paste your evidence in. So as an example, for one of Louise's, her uniting objective, adopt new ways of working using tools I'm given in Cascade, given such as Cascade, which increases impact and collaboration with the ongoing rollout and development of the system. So Louise has popped in, as part of my ongoing reporting project for the Cascade system, I've collaborated with various line managers throughout the charity. I have been able to develop my knowledge and tools such as Skype and whiteboards to pull together ideas and thoughts from the focus group. And again, exactly the same as before. How are you currently meeting that? Exceeding, and again, your line manager will do the same at your review meeting. And you'll need to do that for all 4 of the values moving down.
Okay, so the next part of your mid-year review, we have some general questions for you to answer. These general questions are about your current progress. There will be a discussion with your line manager about where you feel you currently are, where you'd like to be, and what tools and help the charity can provide you in order to support you. So the first question we have here is about job satisfaction. How satisfied are you in your role? Any areas that would be good to discuss. So you can just write your comments there in the box, or again, you can copy and paste. Also here on this screen, we have a rating. So you'll need to give yourself a rating of how satisfied you currently feel in your role. This score is just an indication of where you currently are. It doesn't contribute to your final appraisal grade. When you come back here in your 12-month review, you can look at the score and you can see why it may have changed or may not have changed. And if we click next, we have the next question, which is about career focus. Please think about your role and your career in the charity and think about where you will be in the future. Can the charity help? Again, just write your comments in the box or copy and paste. And the final question we have is about personal learning development. Please think about your role and your career in the charity and think about where you'd like to be in the future. Can the charity help? Again, just write your comments or copy and paste.
And now finally, to complete your mid-year review, this last screen is really just to summarise, so anything that hasn't been covered as part of your role requirements, your objectives and your behavioural objectives. Any further comments or overarching comments that you'd like to make, you can pop in there, and there's space for your line manager to do so as well. This final screen, you won't need to worry about this area just yet. This will be covered as part of the end of year review, and you'll receive some training and guidance at a later date. Just lastly as well, again, if you want to upload any files to support your mid-year review, you can do just by clicking browse files there, and please do make sure you save at the end. And again, you can access your appraisal at any time, so if you want to go back in and add evidence as the year goes on, please feel free to do so.